Hi there and welcome to today's video. I have a story for you today. As a mom of four, I broke my arm and it required surgery. I broke it rollerblading. So I wanted to tell that story today for those who would be interested and start with how very grateful I am for all the blessings that I have received. Well, anyway, before that, if you're new here, my name is Melinda. And I live with my husband and four children ages 7 and under in Costa Rica. So to start off, our school year here is February to November. End of November we finish the school year. Then in December, my husband and I and our little boy went on a 1-week trip to the Dominican Republic to visit some friends. It was a very good time. The girls were cared for by their grandparents. And it was altogether a nice time. We came back and got into there was a bit of Christmas stuff. And so on the day, December 29, let's see it was, I had my dad's extended family, the ones that are in Costa Rica, which ends up being only about 25 people. They were over at our place for the annual Christmas gathering, family gathering, whatever we do it around Christmas time. So that was enjoyable. And I had lots of big plans for this year. I've been at a pretty good stage in our family life where it's easy to get a bit more done. The children help a bit more. I don't have a very little baby right now. He's almost 2. So it was just at a nice place and I had a lot of ambitious plans. One thing I was doing, I told them for vacations for December and January, I would take the children to a park that's about 5 minutes away. It's like a simple sports park. Like it has a racetrack and different things that you can playground and so on. So I said I'd take them there 3 times a week if it was possible because I wanted the exercise too. And they enjoy it on our yard. We have a smallish lot. It still has room, but it's like on a hill, so it's kind of almost in terraces, 3 steps down. So like for riding bikes and so on, it's not really, there's not more than a couple meters of space at any certain place to ride bikes. So we were doing that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I was taking them to the sports playground. And I was also wanting to get more into running, into rollerblading. I'd always dreamed of rollerblading. Here's a fun little story. I remember in 2nd or 3rd grade in my schoolwork somewhere it said, if you could ask God for anything, what would it be? And I wrote down rollerblades. Now I don't know if at that time my parents probably couldn't get some for me or didn't or something. I know later on in my teenage years they would have if I had asked for them. I don't know if I forgot about the dream temporarily or whatever, what it was. But I guess when we were in Canada in that time, we didn't really have a place to rollerblade either. The house wasn't exactly for it, and there was no place to go rollerblading. We lived way on gravel roads. So probably those were the reasons that I never got rollerblades. Well, I kept dreaming about them. I always wanted to just, be able to rollerblade. My husband very kindly, I don't know how or where, he remembered that dream, and for my 30th birthday, over a year ago, he got me a nice set of rollerblades. Best of all, they're adjustable, so they worked for me, and then I could make them smaller, but they worked for the girls. So every time we were going to that place, I was practicing rollerblading and practicing some running I wanted to be able to keep up with my children, be fit enough to keep up with my children. Well, December 30, Monday morning, we had gotten our house cleaned up. Now we usually try to get it cleaned up before 9 and go around 9 for 2 hours in school vacation time. And I'd gotten my house cleaned up. The girls had helped me, the chores, it was reasonably done. And we had a very good time there. We played and ran and whatever. I was getting reasonably well with rollerblading now. Reasonably well for someone learning it after 30, because I hadn't always had practice. But then I thought, okay, I'm getting good enough of it. I was up on like a cement pad that there was, and I was gonna take, it's like a short step down to another racetrack. But, and there was like a post right beside me too, and I was grabbing onto the post and stepping down. Like I wasn't doing anything crazy or fast, that's what I always say. And as I stepped down, or put my second foot down, I need to go back and check that place once I can drive again to see what happened there. But I guess it wasn't totally even because I was going to go down to the racetrack, you know, to practice on a little bit more of an open place. Somehow there, while I was grabbing on, my feet slipped out from under me. Always when I was practicing, I'd lean forward, you know, so I'd fall forward if anything happened. But somehow they slipped and I sat down. I remember thinking, oh, this is going to hurt. I was expecting my back, my hips, whatever to hurt, but they didn't. But right away, I felt something in my arm. And I looked, and it was bent at a little bit of an angle up here, right here, before the wrist. And I was just pretty sure it was broken. And it was hurting. Like at first, I mean, when one's in shock, it's not quite so bad, but it was hurting. So I was sitting there on the ground, unsure what to do. And then there was another man there close by, and he saw me, and I was first looking around who I could call because the girls, my children, were a ways off. And well, then he came and asked me if there was anything he could help with. And I said, well, I think I broke my arm. I need to call my husband. So he dialed the number. I gave him the number, and I spoke with my husband, who works just 5 minutes from home and, well, just 10 minutes from the park. I said, I think I broke my arm rollerblading. Can you come? Bring someone along to take the van and the children back home. And the bikes and everything. So, then I asked this man, well, then my children were coming close, and I asked him to just help me get the rollerblades off because that I could at least walk. And so we waited there probably about 10 minutes till my husband and my sister-in-law got there, and she took the van and the bikes and the children home. And he took me to the clinic. Now here, I don't know in the US or Canada how the system is. Here we have public health insurance, which isn't always the best, and we have the private options, which are quite a bit more expensive. And each of the public system has hospitals like in the city, but in all the towns they have like a little clinic where you go for the basic stuff that isn't surgery and so on, for the basic appointments. Well, he took me there first, just I guess to get something for my pain, and to see what, see if we could somehow, sometimes you have to wait a long time at the hospital. Well, they gave me a shot for my pain, though I don't know if it really helped at all, because it whatever, it hurt. From there, we had to go to the half an hour away to the city. So we came by home and stopped, changed a little bit, and stopped in at my mother-in-law who had the children, and she gave us a bit of dinner. Because in a public hospital we probably wouldn't get dinner, so we quickly ate and then we went down. And it was hurting pretty bad already, but I was just kind of, you know, that the man there at the clinic, they had kind of put like a brace under something flat and straps so that I could kind of hang it down, but it was hurting pretty bad. Okay, so I broke my arm just before 11 in the morning, and by 12:30, no, maybe not, about 1 or so, we were in the hospital in the city. And we have to, you know, if you know anything about public hospital systems, we had to wait a bit. Now, I hear that hammering. I'm not sure who's hammering. That's the annoying thing about I'd like a more closed place for recording, or I'll have to get myself a good mic. But anyway, for today, we'll keep on with the story. We had to wait a while till the doctor saw me, and then she sent me for x-rays. So we went and got x-rays, and yes, it was broken. Well, we had to wait a while till they called us again, and then I guess the orthopedic, how do you say that in English? I don't know. I'm used to the word ortopedico. The orthopedic or orthopedic or whatever you call it, doctors were busy with some other kind of emergency. I guess someone, I don't know, had a bigger emergency. And I think it was about till 4 in the afternoon. And those were hard hours. I mean, I was crying. My husband was trying to help me what he could, but I'd taken pills, nothing, the shot, nothing was helping me. It was hurting pretty bad. But he came in and finally around 4 or later, they got me in. They put in an anesthesia shot, which helped finally a bit of relief. And then they pulled my arm straight and put it in a cast. And he said, go and take another x-ray to see if this needs surgery. Now we weren't ready for any sort of surgery thing. My husband actually didn't think, maybe I'm over dramatic sometimes. When he was first coming, he didn't think I'd even need, he thought probably it was just a bump or something. But it was an actual break, and we would never have imagined that it would require surgery. Well, we went for a second x-ray, and when they checked it out again, they said, yes, this needs surgery. Now, I don't know why they didn't explain. We couldn't understand why. Okay, the arm has 2 bones, and this one is called, I think, the radius. I think I'm starting to learn bone names. I mean, I hadn't forgotten. And this bigger one, it was anyways towards the end here that it was broken. They didn't explain to us. And so I'll get to a point where we realized what would happen. But anyway, they said that it needed surgery yet. Now, the way the public hospital system is, they said I needed to sign myself into the hospital, and it could be a couple of weeks of just holding a space in a bed till there'd be a doctor available and the schedule available, because they don't let you go home and just call you for that hospital when there's a chance. You have to be holding your space in the line till there's a scheduled opportunity. That was really hard. I mean, a mom with 4 young children, ages 1 to 7, one doesn't want to think of spending a couple of weeks in the hospital just sitting and waiting for surgery with my arm. But it was the 30th, so the 31st, the first, I knew they weren't really doing surgeries anyways, so I asked if I could go home. Yes, I could. He said to come in on January 2 and then wait for the surgery space. Well, we went home, and spent the 31st and the 1st, which is our anniversary, in a lot of pain. Nothing romantic, like I said, with a good husband taking care of me, trying to help me when it was a lot. And I'd get desperate when the pills weren't working very well. He'd give me massages. He helped me a lot. So for that, I'm very, very grateful. I'm happily married, even if our anniversary was spent at home, spent with him taking care of the children because I couldn't, and lots of pain, and a big white cast, a big heavy white cast. But anyway, to keep on with the story, we waited till, those days I was looking for another option in a private hospital. We had some people tell me, some very kind and dear people to my heart, but I'll let them tell their story, who they are if they want, say that it wasn't worth it to wait for surgery in a public hospital. They'd pay for private surgery in a private hospital because that's quite a lot of money, and I know we couldn't have done it ourselves. So I was looking for options of a doctor that'd be available, and January 2, there was one doctor in a private hospital that had one orthopedic. And excuse me if I'm saying that word totally wrong. I should have looked it up in the dictionary first. But anyway, you know what? The bone doctor. So January 2, my husband and I set out. And I won't tell that whole day story. We went to 2 hospitals, different places. We had an insurance that we thought might work. So we were going to check it out if it worked to cover the surgery. But no, in the end we found out it didn't. Then we found out the surgery cost a lot more even than we had expected, and everything. So that was a long day. But the one thing the doctor did explain to us in the private hospital that really helped us is he said it was shattered. It was like at least 4 or 5, I don't know, more little pieces, the end of my bone. So it wasn't just a clean break to set and put in a cast. And it was right at the end. And by now, since we've studied more, we understand how it is. But it would need plates and, screws and everything. So at least we understood that. We ended up, that was on a Thursday, I think. Yeah, Thursday, January 2. So we ended up looking at all of our options, and that same doctor was the best option for surgery. So we told him in the end or the next day to schedule surgery, and they scheduled it for That's Sunday morning, which would be the first Sunday in January. January 5. So we went in. I mean, we had lots of help. I had my mom come someday, my mother-in-law would come, my neighbor who would come, because with one hand, combing my 3 daughters, combing myself, I couldn't. A lot of things. Now, since the surgery is 2 weeks, was 2 weeks and a bit ago, I can start moving my fingers, and I can learn to do a lot of things with my left hand, because this is my right hand and I'm right-handed. But anyway, let's keep on with the story. So Sunday morning, my mom was here and took care of the children, and my husband and I, we went for surgery. It was about an hour and a half from home. I think, or only an hour from home, the hospital. So we had surgery. Everything went well. I've had one C-section, emergency C-section before, and that one was so fast they didn't have time like for the epidural or anything. It was just put me to sleep and get the baby out like within minutes from getting to the hospital. So I didn't have time to get scared. This time there I was thinking, well, this was different. Here I was having time to get scared. They put anesthesia in my arm, and then later they put me to sleep once I was in the surgery room. But everything worked out fine. After my C-section, probably because it had to be done like that and I had no epidural, I woke up in a lot of pain. That was the first thing I remember, the pain. And this time, thankfully, it wasn't then when I woke up right away. But that first night after, well, okay. So they had to open it. Here you can see, we have the thread, is it? What do you call it in English anyway? Anyway, the stitches. Some of these words I just know better in Spanish because that's how I use them, and so I forget the English words. Excuse me. So they had to open it here and open it here. Put in 3 plates, 3 titanium plates, I think they're called, and 8 screws. I don't know. It just blows my mind that such a simple fall would require so much. But anyway, a plate in here and a plate in here. I think somehow to connect the two, a little plate and 8 screws. That first night, the anesthesia, I know that I've had a lower pain tolerance than a lot of people. My mom has always said that. My husband has said that. The doctors expected, the surgery was at 8 in the morning, and the doctors expected the anesthesia to wear off like the next day, but it was that night. And I spent a horrible night. They'd sent different pain medication, but none of it worked. And it was, yeah, the worst night with the worst pain in my life. My husband, thankfully, finally at 3 in the morning when I hadn't slept a wink, he came and helped me settle on our sofa bed somehow. I don't know, he rubbed my back till I went to sleep, and I got to sleep a bit mercifully. And thankfully, the next day and all the other days, I mean, I was on pain medication for almost 2 weeks after it yet, but it was at least bearable. And comfortable, of course, and hard to get positioned to sleep sometimes. But after that first night after surgery, it's been much more bearable, so I'm grateful that. Anyway, now 2 weeks and a bit past post-surgery, I'm still getting movement back, and I can't really use any weight, but I'm grateful. Grateful for all the blessings. All the people have helped me. I've had some help every day, at least with the combing. I get my children to do a lot of the work. I'm learning to do a lot of things with my left hand, and I'm starting to be able to use this like for something that's not heavy, for the lightest, but this is all the movement I can do yet. But they say that I'm supposed to get the full movement back. So anyway, I guess I should leave the story at that. If you're an older mom, maybe don't learn to rollerblade. Keep active, yes, keep after your children. I'm planning to once I'm well enough. I can't drive yet either, because especially since we have a manual car, then I just can't. But I'm planning to go back there, and I'm planning to, I don't know, take up jogging, running, something. Keep myself active and young and healthy to be with my children, but I'm not getting on rollerblades again. I can't afford the pain, and I can't afford the cost of surgery. And I did learn a lot in this time, just to be grateful for all the help, and that I do have people who help me and who helped us. I have a good husband with me, that my children aren't too young. I mean, my almost 2-year-old is a bit hard to, but I have help with him. I had big plans, but God is the one who changes our plans. For January, I was going to paint my whole house, and you see it's still unfinished. Still needs the mudding to be finished and sanded. I was going to paint at least the whole main living area, the outside of the house. So, keep active, but don't rollerblade. But God has been good to us, and I'm grateful. And He taught me to learn to rest in His time. It's okay if I don't get all my to-do lists done. So I'll leave it at that for now. Hopefully I can soon get back into making more videos, and we'll see you in the next video.